Well, welcome back to another out of school session, experience, time with me, Miss J. I promised you a little tutorial on I versus me and she versus her. So to some of you this might sound rudimentary, but when I explain some of the details, I think you'll have a better grasp of instances where you might be making a little mistake in your grammar too. So let's get started. We'll start with I versus me. Even though it might sound a little complicated, when we get into the structure of a sentence, really what we need to do is just take out another party when determining if we use I versus me. So when we have a sentence like, it was the best thing that had ever happened to my sister and I, we don't know if it's I or me. A lot of times, most of us choose I because we're taught that my sister and I or so-and-so and I sounds more sophisticated or something along that line, because a lot of us got reprimanded for using me too often during our elementary school and high schooling. And so really, it's not always so-and-so and I. What we need to do is take out the other party. So let's dissect it. If we take out the other party in this situation is my sister. So we want to pretend that we're the only person in this situation now. So we have, it was the best thing that ever happened to I. Okay, so if we take out my sister, then we just have I. It's the best thing that ever happened to I. Okay, so we wouldn't talk like that in conversation. We wouldn't write that down on paper. And so when thinking, why does it matter so much? That's how I read it, and that's how others will read your work as well. This is the best thing that ever happened to I. Okay, so taking out that other person tells us in this situation that we're going to use me. It was the best thing that ever happened to me. So the full sentence would be, it was the best thing that ever happened to my sister and me. Okay, so that is a case where me is the correct word to use versus I. Now the next situation might be a little less prominent in some of your papers. You aren't in the sentence, but you're still having two parties. So the two different parties are she or her, okay, and the father. Those are the two main people or groups of people that we're going to be talking about for this sentence. And so we have to figure out, do we use her or do we use she? And obviously I'm using this example because a lot of you struggled with it in your paper, so let's dissect it the same way that we did with I versus me. This time we're going to take out the other party, which in this case is father, to see, do we use her or she? So, her went to the park. Okay, so that's our her option, is her went to the park. Our other option is she went to the park. So she went to the park is how we would speak it, is how we would write it. So if I see in your paper, her and her father went to the park, in my head I'm reading, her went to the park. Okay, so that's why it sounds so bizarre, and that's why we need to pay attention to this her versus she scenario in addition to I versus me. So I hope that helped. Oh, and I hope you heard my bird. She's back. She's ready for some time with you guys. I hope that you learned a little something today. I'll keep these tutorials coming along. I told you I am the queen of little ways to remember things. Otherwise, there's no way I could do it. So thanks for hanging around with me, and I will see you guys soon in class.